They say the truth always comes to light, but I never imagined it would hit me with the force of a freight train. My name is Joseph, and a few months ago, I uncovered something that shattered my world. My wife, Clara, was cheating on me. But when the truth came out, it didn't just come quietly. It erupted in full, unforgiving color. It all started with an uneasy feeling. Clara, who had always been affectionate and engaged, had become distant, distracted. Her habits changed in subtle but noticeable ways. She used to be attached to her phone, like most people, but recently, she'd started turning it face down or conveniently leaving it in another room whenever we were together. She'd also begun skipping family gatherings, claiming work was piling up or she needed me time. I wanted to trust her. We'd been married for 5 years after all, but my gut kept whispering that something wasn't right. The moment that solidified my suspicions came one evening when Clara told me she had a work dinner. Something about it didn't sit well with me. Her location was still shared with me on her phone, a feature she'd enabled ages ago when we went hiking and forgotten to turn off. Out of curiosity, I checked. She wasn't at a restaurant. She was at a residential address. My stomach churned, but I tried to reason with myself. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe it was a colleague's house. But doubt crept in, loud and relentless. Over the next week, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling, so I started paying closer attention. Clara's late nights became more frequent, her excuses more rehearsed, and that same address kept appearing. I couldn't ignore it anymore. A quick search revealed who lived there: Anthony. He was someone I vaguely recognized from Clara's photos, a guy from her college friend group. He'd always just seemed like another face in the background, overshadowed by the mostly female crowd she spent time with. But now, everything pointed to him. I needed proof before confronting Clara, so I decided to dig deeper. With the help of a friend who's something of a tech genius, I gathered everything I needed. Messages, pictures, timestamps, it was all there, laid out in excruciating detail. The texts were explicit, intimate, leaving no doubt about the nature of their relationship. This wasn't a fleeting fling, it was a full-blown affair. As I delved further, I uncovered even more about Anthony. He wasn't just involved with Clara, he had a track record of entangling himself with married women. The betrayal burned deeper with each new piece of information. First, I was numb. Then the anger came, a white-hot rage that fueled me with one thought: they wouldn't get away with this. I decided that if the truth was going to come out, it wouldn't be a quiet revelation. No, it would be a spectacle. And I knew exactly where it would happen. Clara had been avoiding family events for weeks, offering flimsy excuses that I now understood were cover-ups for her trysts with Anthony. Another dinner at my parents' house was coming up, a big one. When she claimed she had plans with her friends that night, I knew exactly what she was really up to. I played along, pretending to believe her, while inside I planned the perfect way to expose everything. That night would be unforgettable, for her, for Anthony, and for everyone else involved. I made sure the night was set up perfectly. Everyone was there: my parents, siblings, a few close friends, Clara's parents, and even her best friend. Funny, wasn't it? So much for her supposed girls' night, considering her best friend was sitting right there at my family's dinner table. Before the evening officially began, I excused myself to the patio. I tried calling Clara, knowing full well she wouldn't pick up. She was busy, of course. When she didn't answer, I went with Plan B. Using a little app my tech-savvy friend had shared, I spoofed Anthony's boss's phone number and FaceTimed him. It only took a few seconds for him to answer, and when his face appeared on the screen, there she was in the background: Clara. The moment she saw my face, she froze. Her expression drained of color, her eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. Anthony, oblivious to the gravity of the situation, looked confused. "Who is this?" "What's going on?" he stammered. Keeping my voice steady, I replied, "Anthony, do me a favor and put me on speaker."
"What? Why?"
"Speaker.
Now.
Trust me, I've got a lot of information on you that you don't want me to start sharing. Just listen." Reluctantly, he complied. I could hear Clara's frantic whispers in the background, her voice trembling as she said, "Don't do it." But it was already too late. With my phone on speaker, I walked back into the dining room where everyone was gathered. I wanted them all to hear this. I wanted the truth to be undeniable. Clara, I began, my voice carrying through the silent room. Enjoying your girls' night? Funny, because it seems like you're actually at Anthony's house. The air in the room grew heavy, thick with tension. All eyes turned to me as Clara's voice crackled through the phone, desperate and panicked. Joseph, I can explain. I don't think so, Clara. No more lies. I looked around the table, meeting the gaze of each family member before continuing. For months now, my wife has been cheating on me with a man named Anthony. While I've been at work, at home, or even here with all of you, she's been with him. Anthony's voice broke through, trying to salvage some semblance of control. This isn't the time or the place. I cut him off sharply. You don't get to decide that, Anthony. You and Clara made your choices, and now everyone knows. On the phone, Clara began to sob, loud, dramatic cries that might have once moved me, but not anymore. I wasn't interested in her tears. I'm filing for divorce, Clara, I said, my voice cold with finality. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. And Anthony, enjoy the mess you've made. Expect some visits from a few other angry husbands. I know for a fact Clara wasn't the only one you were messing around with. With that, I hung up. Then, I sent a quick text to my friend, giving him the green light to release the evidence to the other husbands who were unknowingly living the same nightmare I'd just woken up from. The proof was damning: texts, photos, and everything they needed to confront their own spouses. I placed my phone on the table and looked up. The room was silent, the weight of what had just happened sinking in. My mother stood first, crossing the room to wrap me in a hug. My father followed, then my siblings, and even Clara's own parents. One by one, they rallied around me, offering their support. Meanwhile, Clara sat there, stunned and alone, left to stew in the wreckage of her choices. The fallout wasn't pretty. Clara begged me to reconsider, swearing it was a mistake, that she still loved me. But her words meant nothing. Love doesn't look like betrayal. And Anthony, he didn't escape unscathed. Word spread quickly, and it wasn't long before a few furious husbands confronted him. One encounter reportedly left him in the hospital, after 3 of them caught him alone. Not long after, he disappeared from Clara's life, proving their so-called relationship wasn't built to last. Life doesn't always play fair, but when it threw me this curveball, I swung back, and I hit it out of the park.